Thank you very much, Congressmember Guest. I am the next person to ask questions, and I wanted to address my questions to President Sara Nelson. President Nelson, you gave some very powerful testimony at the very beginning of today's hearing, and I didn't want to lose sight of that. You told the important and tragic story of a flight attendant who, because of furloughs as a result of the lapsing of the PSP program, because of furloughs, she didn't get furloughed, but she had to work extra, and she had to move her base of operations from Phoenix, Arizona, which is in my district. I'm the former mayor of Phoenix, to Philadelphia. And so she had to spend a lot more time on planes, putting herself at risk. And tragically, as you mentioned, she died from COVID last week. So first, on behalf of myself and all members of the committee, please pass on our deepest sympathies and condolences to the family of that hero, that flight attendant that passed away because of COVID. But I wanted you to maybe talk a little bit more about that, because we think of the PSP program as a program to help the American economy, to help American workers in this particularly critically important American industry, the airline industry. We think of it as a way it affects so many employees, and we want to support those employees to the best of our ability. But you brought up another angle on it that many of us don't think about. Frankly, I hadn't thought about enough, and that is, for those employees, if we let this lapse again, not only are many employees going to lose their jobs and be furloughed, but many will be put in positions of greater risk to their own safety. And maybe you could just take it from there and expound upon that, how the support for the PSP program is not just about the economy, but it's about people's health as well. President Nelson.
Yes, I really appreciate that. Got me a little choked up too. This is very hard, because when you get into a time of cost cutting, and we had the lapse in the payroll support program starting October 1st, we saw a great turn to cost cutting so that the airlines can try to cut as many costs, because they're still losing, the major airlines are still losing $30 million a day. So what that does is it puts stress and strain on the workers on the front lines, and you see that through all kinds of public health decisions that have that cost-cutting strain. And then you have business decisions like the one in Phoenix to downsize the base because there wasn't enough demand there, and that pushes workers out to other stations. You also have situations where the furloughs cause a ripple effect across the workforce. And in order to keep a job, it means moving your family several states away, or commuting more because you can't take your kids out of school or move them away from their communities or from your family base that makes everything work, because you've got parents or aunts or uncles who help out. So this absolutely, the stress and strain of not having the payroll support for the workers who remain on the job puts their health at greater risk and makes them have to actually shoulder a greater burden of cost when they have to make these decisions to move to other states to keep their job. So there is a ripple effect that hurts the entire workforce and puts them at greater risk for their personal health and what they bring home to their families.
We owe you a debt of gratitude for bringing tragic stories like that to the American people's attention, because we need to continue to build support for PSP. And your particular involvement, your leadership, I think has helped build confidence on both sides of the aisle that support for that critically important program is essential, not just for the American economy, but for the safety of the workforce involved. And we know that the current round will end soon. American Airlines has already announced they're looking at furloughs shortly after it would lapse. And so we look forward to working closely with you to make sure that we continue to ensure that this industry stays strong, but more importantly, the people who work in the industry stay safe.
Thank you. And I just want to add one other point on that, because it will lapse on March 31st, but airlines schedule 2 months in advance. So the uncertainty is beginning now. The mental health strain and stress on the workers who don't know what this is going to mean for them if Congress doesn't act soon to extend this, they are feeling that right now. They're feeling that uncertainty right now. And we have an increase in mental health issues and calls to our EAP. And we have people who have taken their lives. So the extent to which this affects people on the front lines and the timing of getting this in place right now is so critically important for health, not just with COVID, but for every other reason as well.
All right, thank you, President Nelson, for that clarion call, critically important. I'll yield back the rest of my time and now go to Congressmember Van Drew.